the radio, building dreams and achieving more, telling it just like it is. Most of all, keeping it real. Are you ready for real talk? Changing lives and communities. Real talk. Saving all our families. Real talk. Bringing hope for you and me. Real talk. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio.
Well, good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Real Talk with Judy live radio show, the #1 talk show for stretching and empowering, inspiring, and motivating leaders and upcoming leaders and everybody to be the best leader in every area of their life. And so my sisters and brothers, I want you to thank you so very much for tuning in to the Real Talk with Judy live radio show once again. And we are here live in Hallelujah 95.3 FM. We are your stellar choice. We're winning so many things. We're winning with national radio station, with some of everything, y'all. We are winning. But guess what? Until April the 3rd, April the 30th, you still have time to go and vote for us because we want to bring home the award to this year for the small business market radio station it is. So I want to thank you all again for joining me this beautiful Tuesday morning in Tallahassee. It is beautiful here in Tallahassee, and I hope it's beautiful where you are. And I want to thank you so very much again for tuning in to us. Y'all have her there. That is, she's my guest. I was gonna bring her in to y'all and I have her sit with me, but she already sitting up here. Look at her. But I want to thank her so very much for being in a good friend of mine, mentee, and all that good stuff. And we're gonna introduce her and let her introduce herself. But first, I want to thank you, my audience, for tuning in again to the Real Talk with Judy live radio show. Once again, it is always an honor to have you here with me every Tuesday. And of course, my mom and all of y'all taking a chance. So y'all know I'm going to introduce my mom, right? So while I'm doing that, will you all do me a favor? Go ahead, tag folks, share, get them to come on, and let's make this show real good. Today is going to be real good, I promise. I say that about all my shows because they are. All of the shows are designed with you in mind. It is designed to bring you on. Hello, Carolyn. And to those of you who are coming on, thank you so very much. It's designed with you in mind. So we have YouTube and the Hallelujah app. You can get on Hallelujah 95.3 app. And to all of you outside of Tallahassee, I want to thank you for tuning in, and to everybody. So while you are calling and texting and tagging, I want you to go ahead and do that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and talk to my mom, Mother Irma Hunter Wesley. Thank you so very much, Mom, for being on. We are always excited. I'm always excited to have you on. And y'all, we are thankful unto God. She's still here. And y'all, she's more vibrant and joyous and everything that ever seemed like. But y'all keep praying for her, as I said, and as I've asked you, as long as there's breath in her body, do not take her off your prayer list. Do not take her off your prayer list as long as there's breath in her body. All right, and continue to keep my sister Tanya and niece Kiara and all of those in your prayers. And just thank God for everybody. To my amazing, good morning, Danette. Good morning. And to my amazing sister, thank you so very much. To my amazing husband, thank you so very much for allowing me to do what I do. I greatly appreciate it. And he has an opportunity to tune in at the end of the show now. And I want to thank God so very much for him. Again, to Priscilla, thank you so very much, Priscilla. Greatly appreciate you. She's been having some challenges with her mom. Y'all seen her Facebook post. Y'all seen the challenges she's had and caring for her mother, some of the things that her mother's dealing with now. But I'm going to ask y'all too to keep Miss Vera in your prayers as long as there's health in the body, as long as there's health in, I mean, breath in our body, y'all keep her in your prayers, okay? So I want to thank God for every last one of you all, and to everybody again. Thank you for tuning in to this award-winning show. Coming back every Tuesday, I greatly appreciate it. Hey, Tanya, hey, greatly appreciate it. And so today we're going to, I have as my guest this morning is Tamia Brenson. As I stated, Tamia Brenson, she's from Orlando. She's from Orlando. She is the host and executive director of Mindset for Success Ministry in or out of Orlando, Florida. And Tamia, welcome to the Real Talk with Judy show.
Oh, it is a pleasure and an honor to be here. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you on here because y'all, she's going to tell you a little bit about herself. Some of you know her, some of you may not. But one of the things, I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about herself before we get started. So Tamia, tell the audience a little bit about you.
All right. Yeah. So I do have my broadcast for my ministry, Mindset for Success, every Saturday on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and also on Kingdom Purpose TV, Roku, Apple TV, Google, and also some things you may not know. Some things that I have done. I've been in the financial sector for about 20 years, specifically in the mortgage industry. And I was a magazine publisher, as you know, and also have a couple books out there. I'm a writer. And I've been a TV host. Well, I'm still a TV host and a radio host. So been all over, giving the word of God and speaking on personal finances, right? And another recent thing that I've been doing for Mindset for Success is I've been reaching out, and the Lord just put it on my heart to bless the single mothers in my vicinity, like in the Central Florida area. So God has been really working, and He's been so tremendous, especially this year. You know, we have the women's retreat that's about to be, it's less than 2 weeks. So God has been moving. I have really just awesome. I've had this, awesome outlook of what God is doing, and He's just been blessing. Especially, I took a step of faith talking about finances, right? Moving from my career to the marketplace, right? And I didn't know how God would bless me. I didn't, you think that people will pull up the video and be like, okay. But when you get messages, I'm starting to get messages and inbox, and like, I was blessed and I opened up my account for this. And what do you think about that? And God is just blowing my mind.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on, why I wanted you as my guest, Tamir, because in speaking with you often and just watching God move in your life financially, the steps of faith that you're making, the savings account that you got, the savings that you got going on. And we want to talk about that because leaders, I believe that if we're going to lead, we have to lead holistically, and that means in every area of our life. So we got the lead as far as spiritual, secularly, in our finances, in our health, in our growth and development, and watching you in your finances and how you're doing your finances and what God is doing in your life and the increases that God is putting forth in your life. I felt that it would be an honor to have you to come on to speak into the lives of leaders and people in particularly, holistically, to help us look at finance. I've had the opportunity to be on your show several times, and to help us look at our finances and get a more professional viewpoint from a person that I have watched grow and who is helping me to grow financially. And so a lot of times, Tamia, we're disciplined in a lot of things except our finances. A lot of people are. Some people aren't, but a lot of people are. And then you have living paycheck to paycheck,
Right.
always borrowing. I'm
Mhm.
gonna pay you back on the next paycheck. Well, if you live in the pay if you live in paycheck to paycheck, how you gonna pay me back the next paycheck? Right? Am I
Mhm.
right?
Exactly. So you got to have a plan. You got to make it plain and have a plan. You can't live, I mean, paycheck to paycheck. Once again, when you start early in life, let's say, after college, right? High school and college, these are the things that you should be learning in high school and college. After college, it should be a period of time where you should automatically have a plan and have a strategy of how your finances should work, how your financial goals should go, right? And you shouldn't, when you get in your 30s and 40s, we need to take an evaluation if we still struggling from check to check.
Okay, so that's how we have you on here because a lot of the things you just said to me, a lot of us, and I can only speak for the Black American. I don't know what our other sisters and brothers have done, but a lot of us was not reared or raised to even think about a financial plan, and don't mention a budget. We just wasn't raised. Our family to the point of helping us to survive and helping us to live um, during the era that we grew up. I believe did the best they could financially. They taught us to have our own money now. They taught you to have your own money, and they taught if you go to college, you're gonna get it. Well, we find out that those things weren't necessarily 100%, but they raised us and trained us. So now, to me, we're at a place where people my age, let's say 40 and older, or 30 and 30, let's go to 35 and older, really
Mhm.
didn't have a financial plan and have a budget. And so, and we have young people today, every time they get a dime, they spend it. We got people who don't really have a good savings account, but they. I was reading something to me, and they said rich people who have a lot of money don't drive. They're not all into all of these fancy cars and all of this stuff.
Right.
The majority of them, that's what they stated. They said the
Mhm.
majority of them drive like a Kia or
Mhm.
or a Hyundai. They're not
Right.
into the Mercedes and all of that. But they have. But then a lot of us who don't have a lot of money, we want to make sure we have the Mercedes and that, but then we don't have a house or we don't own this or that. So let's
Right.
talk about it. Hey Jasmine. Hey Jasmine. So we're gonna talk about this, Tamia. What do you say to the ones who was like me, who don't even they didn't even have a budget? Didn't even know what a budget was. So here we are in 2024. Talk to us about, let's talk to that before we get into your points. I know you're ready to go. Get into your points of the finances. How important do you think a budget is? And I heard you mention a plan for our finances. Talk about that.
Now, a budget, yeah, it's very important to have a budget. And now, the only thing is, though, you need to realize that in the beginning, it's going to seem like it's kind of hard, right? And regular people who are into their budgeting, once you get into a certain mode, you don't automatically look to it all the time, right? It's just an overview, like a map of where you're at financially.
How do
And
we
it's a
get
good
started?
planning tool.
How do we get started? How well what
So,
what would be your suggestion of even getting started to even looking at our finances? Some of us don't want to look at our finances anyway because there ain't much there. But how do we get started?
so what you do, you take an inventory of your income and your expenses, right? So once you do that, there's two I want to talk about is two sets of budgeting rules.
Okay.
So it's the 50-30-20 rule, and then the other one is the 70-20-10 rule. And these are just budgeting rules, right? It's just a guideline. So you can easily adjust according to your income in your situation, right? So the 50-30-20 rule is basically means that your 50% of your income, your total income, right, is allocated towards your financial goals. Whatever financial goals you're planning for, whether it's a car, a house, you're trying to finance a project, you're trying to do rental property, whatever that is, 50% of your income is allocated towards your needs. I'm sorry, your needs. I said financial goals, but it's for your needs, 50%. So that whole 50%, all of that, whatever you need to pay for, all of your expenses and everything, your bills and your travels, all of that needs to be in that 50%, right? Your 30% is for your wants, your desires, whatever, entertainment that you want to do. That 30% is for that. 20% is for your financial goals. So let me backtrack because I kind of spit that out real fast, right? 50, 30, 20. 50% of your income is for your needs. All of your bills, all of your expenses, your debt, your credit cards, your loans, all of that is for your needs. 50%, your mortgage, whatever you need to pay, whoever you owe, need to be in that 50%.
Okay.
30% is for your wants. So that's for your skiing events, for your conventions, okay? Yeah, that's for your traveling, your vacations. You see a piece of toy over there you want to get just for fun. All of that is for your wants. 30%, right? After you pay all of your bills and expenses, and you're 50%. So now we're up to 80%, right? The remaining 20% is for your financial goals. That is your savings and whatever financial goals that you have on your list. You should have a financial goal list. So that 20% goes towards that. So that's the 50-30-20 rule.
Wow.
Now, the 70-20-10 rule, that's what I call the Joseph plan.
The Joseph plan?
That's the Joseph plan.
Okay.
70-20-10 rule. And that basically means that 70% of all your income is allocated towards, it groups it together. That's for your necessities, all your bills, expenses, and your wants.
Oh.
So remember the other rule was 50% and then 20%. I'm sorry, and then 30% for your wants. So that was a total of 80%. The Joseph plan is only 70%. So you got to squeeze everything you need to be paying and all of your wants and your desires, your traveling, all of that, 70%. So it's no longer 80. We're going on a lean diet here.
Yes,
right? 70%. That's the Joseph plan. And then the remaining 20% is towards your savings, your finances, your list, right? Your savings, whether it's retirement or what have you, all of that on your list is that 20%.
Wow. So you're going to...
We know that in the Word of God, when Pharaoh had the dream, Joseph interpreted the dream, right? And he was saying he came up with a plan, right, to prepare for the 7 years of famine. So the 7 years of plenty, he ordered them to store back a fifth of produce, which is 20%. So that's your financial goals right there. Your 20%, your savings. And any other financial goals and projects that you want to do, that's at 20%. And then lastly, that last 10%, of course, is charitable organizations, charitable contributions, or tithing. We know as tithing.
So you put tithing, do you put tithing, and I know some people don't believe in it, I do.
That's separate. Yeah, that's the last 10%.
Okay, because I know a financial planner, like well, not a loan, a person who does loan. He wouldn't loan to people who tithe was not in that top 10% of taking that totally out of your paycheck first, and then
Mhm.
you budget everything else.
Right.
Okay, so he take the 10% off first, and
Mhm.
then he set the plan with what you had left.
Mhm.
Um, and he said he don't loan to people who don't tithe because they'll rob God. They'll show enough rob him, and he'll never
I
get
know
his
that's
money back.
right.
So he said, and that's his practice. He does not loan to people. I mean, it's his money, so but he doesn't loan to people who doesn't tithe. So Tamina, so the Joseph, which I mean, I'm looking at it. So you got your 50, 30, 20. Then you
Mhm.
got your 70,
2010.
20, 10.
Mhm.
So the Joseph plan is a little bit more, is tighter than the human plan. I said the human plan and the Joseph plan. So
The
what?
financial industry, yeah. So the
Okay,
Joseph plan is a little more responsible.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
A little more discipline. Hmm.
But what would you suggest to someone who haven't even started 50, 30, 20, or 70, 20, 10, who never heard of that, but they really want to get into the place of better leading in their finances? What would you suggest to a person? How do they first get started? Do we do like grandma and them and put it on that mattress, or how do we first get started?
No, well, this is what I did, and this is what worked for me, right?
Hmm.
So I had to take an inventory. What I did is that, I used to bank. Well, I still have one account with Bank of America, and I'm not
Okay.
advertising them. This is just my personal story, right?
Right.
So Bank of America, I would go back because you can review all of your statements. You can even download it to a spreadsheet, right? And I had to go back a year and figure out how I was spending my money. Cause I was like, look, I know I make enough money. All my bills are paid, but I can't really do nothing, no offering or nothing. So I had to figure out what was going on.
So
And
would you
so
suggest, Tamia, would you suggest going back at least a year?
yeah, and
Okay,
do an inventory of how you're spending your money.
okay.
You know how much you got coming in, but
Mhm.
you need to know how much you got going out.
That's
And
good.
then so I figured out that I was extremely in debt.
Okay,
Right? And so I had to move from managing my debt to coming up with a debt payoff plan to where I would pay extra and dig myself out of debt to the point where I can be able to afford. At one point, I couldn't afford to pay my tithe.
okay.
So I had to work myself out of debt. And when I paid off one credit card, I was like, okay, Lord, I know this is not all my tithe, but I'm gonna pay on it, and I need for you to work with me. When I tell you that as I began to work my plan, right, and put more money on that tithe until eventually I was paying all of my tithe, God started blessing left and right. So
Now that's,
his
yeah,
law is real. When reaping and sowing, that is real. You really need to put that into action. And if you was in a place like me where you can't afford tithes, where you have, overspent, you may need to take an inventory and dig your way out. And when you pay off one, give God the rest. We'll
now
have a little extra money. Give God the rest.
I'm gonna tell you now. We kind of got that. I think we've had this discussion before. I kind of believe differently. I believe you give your tithe first, and then you start paying on your bills. I mean and I know we have to get out of debt and all of
Mm-hmm.
that, but I believe we give our tithe because I think we should. I like to look at it that I'm not paying my tithe because then it look like a bill. It feel
Yeah,
like a
right.
bill to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I give it, but I take it off. And I want to say this: even when Pastor and I was almost rock bottom to no money after that, we gave our tithe no matter what. We gave our tithe that we didn't eat. We
Mm-hmm.
did that. We gave our tithe. So I am, and I hear what you're saying, and it did work for you. But
Yeah, but Dr. Judy, you a great woman of faith. My faith one, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, my faith one. I had a child. I was raising my child at the time,
Yeah.
and yeah, we weren't gonna go without food, and I got grandparents that I had to be accountable. That I had to answer
And I
if
understand.
they grandchild was all about. Yeah, so
And I understand all of that. And I
yeah,
still
my
tell
faith
people,
wasn't there, but
yeah,
I agree with you though. I do agree with you. If you have the faith, dive in.
I said, yeah, I said you believe the word of God. Because he said,
Mhm.
bring all your tithe and then you'll have, see if you want to open up your window. That does call for faith. It does
Right.
call for faith. And it calls for obedience to the word. But I love our discussions. That's another, I can't afford not to give tithe. Yeah, that was then that. I
Mhm.
teach and believe that if you got $1, you give 10%, you give a dime out of that dollar. I'm
Right.
a believer in that. I'm a believer in
Mhm.
that. I'm a believer if pay pay your bills, but if you have to give, you give your tithe first, and God,
Yes.
and I think it will work faster. I think it
It
works.
will. It will. Your faith got to be there though. I had to work my faith up now down to a point where I'm tithing for my future. You know what I mean? And that goes out first automatically. So
Yeah, but go ahead because we want to get people to understand. I really want people to understand to go ahead and get. I'm a believer of giving that tithe first. I
mhm.
believe that, and I
Yes.
believe give an offering, give some type of offering. You might not. Now,
Mhm.
I ask for offering. I ask for a certain amount, no matter where I go. Some
Mhm.
people don't, and it's okay. But give your tithe, give a offering, do an offering, and why? And I want to help people faith increase because your faith don't increase if you don't do it. If you don't
Right.
do it, you can't increase your faith. Okay, and that's in anything. That's in anything. We want to become leaders in our finances, right? Holistically leading. And now I can say you're really leading because some of the things that you shared with me have been phenomenal, right? And I know that we've had these conversations, and I'm like, give your time, because I believe this too, Tamia. You give your time, God gonna always cause you to eat. He ain't gonna never go without. You give your time.
Oh yeah. That is a godly law, a
Oh
kingdom principle. He
yeah,
set up the whole system. And
no,
guess what? He can't double back on his word.
yeah. Put that back up there. What Danette said, Priscilla. She, do you see what she said? She said something. But go ahead. That'll be coming up. Tithing is a trust issue. Do you trust God? I can't afford not to tithe. Before I
That's
pay
it.
a bill, I send me too, Dr. Marshall. Before I pay a bill, I do. And Pastor and I, and some people know our story. We were rock bottom, not bringing in much of nothing. But them tithe, they were going to be tithe. That we were going to give our
Mhm.
tithe. We were going to give that. And we are going to give our offer. And that's what I teach today. I teach people, and I do, give your tithe. Trust God, I don't
Right.
have enough faith. And you're never going to stop saying you don't have enough faith because we're still better words that come out of our mouth. Our mouth put us in bondage. Give those tithes, give those offerings. Do what God said and watch it. Man, God has done so much. And I often tell
Yes.
people we went from like $75,000 to about $15,000 income. Did we have to adjust? Yes, Lord. But those tithes and offering still came out, right? And so
Mhm.
I don't know, Priscilla, can you put back up what Danette said? But go ahead, Tamia, go ahead, go ahead. So
So you want to, so when you do your budget, you want to take an inventory where you at, right? And you want to prioritize. So the first thing you do, the Word of God says, write down your vision, create a plan, right? Get an overview of your financial goals, where you at, right? And then put in an action plan. Put in an
okay,
action plan. So not only is it necessary to write it down, but we should also make it plain. Get clarity on where you at and where you're going, right? So the first thing you need to do is make a list of all your financial goals, including all your bills and your expenses, all of your obligations. And then you move on to your wants and your needs and your desires, right? So again, Joseph, when he interpreted Pharaoh's dream, he had a game plan. So you got to have a game plan. And I know that, God calls us to be debt free and financially free, right? But wisdom has a place, right? We
Yeah.
got to have a plan. We got to have a strategy, right? So we got to be able to work that plan and put into action because it's not going to fall out the sky. He already did all the work on the cross, but we still got to walk it out.
Right.
We
Right.
still got to walk it out.
Right.
So we need a game plan. We need a strategy. So write down everything, all of your expenses, your bills, and your financial goals.
And to me,
So
what you say, I mean, and be honest, y'all, be honest. Write down everything. Write down everything. I look at my financial statement sometime, and that shell seafood and all those different places, Longhorn, Outback, and
eating out, yeah.
eating out. That's a whole lot of expensive. And so as we're doing this plan, Tamia, what would as we're writing down our plan and making a strategy, I want to suggest that people really be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with someone the other day. They said, "Wow, you at 3 miles." I tried. I mean, I tried to do that, and I can't do that. I said, I wasn't doing that at first either.
Right, exactly.
So speak to that a little bit because I don't want. I'm not even where you are. So just talk a little bit about realistically writing your plan and your strategy.
Yeah, just like you said, be honest. There's nobody else in the room but you, right?
Mhm.
Unless you like lying to yourself,
Ooh.
it's no reason to lie to yourself, right? So be honest. It's nobody but you and the Lord in your room or in your study or wherever you're going over your finances. So be honest. Write down everything, right? And make your list of everything, including your financial goals. But before you get into your financial goals and working plan towards your pipe dreams, your financial pipe dreams, right? It's a few things that you need to shore up so you can be financially sound first before you move on to the financial pipe dreams, right? So the first of all, when you go over everything and you covered all your bills and your expenses, your shelter, all of that, you need to incorporate an emergency account.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
An emergency account. And so let me define what the emergency account is, right? So emergency account is strictly for unexpected expenses.
And how would you base your how would you what would you suggest to us um, in planning that emergency account?
Yeah, for unexpected expenses, this should be a separate account. And going back to my experience with Bank of America, right? And again, I'm not advertising them. This is just my personal story.
Right.
So
Right.
I've been banking with them for years, ever since high school, ever since my daddy opened an account when I was 14 years old, right? Bank of America. But what I've discovered is that Bank of America will charge you all kinds of fees, and I'm not bashing them, but again, my personal story will charge you
Right.
all kinds of fees for opening separate accounts. And when I started my journey on being financially sound, right, I've learned how to separate my accounts for different things. And so Bank of America will have a different service charge for different accounts. So now I have my one account with Bank of America, which is my bill account. All of
Okay.
my bills automatically come in. That's where my direct pay is drop straight into Bank of America. Everything else is auto drafted out, and I have a credit union for everything else. At that credit union, this is what I want to say for people out there is looking to structure your finances,
Mm-hmm.
right? Look into getting into a credit union because they don't charge anything extra. You just pay that one membership fee, and then you can set up as many accounts as you need. So I have a separate account for my bill money, right? That's all. And then it goes automatically out to my savings, automatically out to my credit union. And then for my credit union, I have my emergency, I have my
Okay.
leisure account. I even have I call it Christmas slash couture account, which is my daughter.
So
So
you would recommend that to parents or those who have children to set up a children account. Now,
yeah.
would that come out of which part that would come out? The 20% or the 70%?
So for the which one? The couture account?
And the emergency account. How would you do that?
So that would be your financial. That would be your financial goals.
Oh,
So which
okay.
one are you on, the 50 or the
Well,
70?
really, I was just talking about either one of them. I got the 70 up for me, and I got that up for me, and so.
Okay, so for your 70%, the 70-20 rule.
Mhm. Would you
Okay,
take those
so
plans that
that's
emergency?
out of that 20%.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you can let me put a caveat, because 20% is towards your savings. So if you're doing 20% strictly savings, leave that alone and keep that savings. 70% is all your expenses, all of your bill money, and your wants, your travel, your entertainment. So you can put like a portion of that where you want 5% to add on to that 20%. So
Okay.
you can adjust according to your needs and according to your goals.
Okay. Okay. I just saw here that Lavisha stated separate account work well. Keeping your money together can hurt or help.
I'm trying to tell you.
It depends on each individual. Find what works for you and stick to that plan.
I'm trying to tell you, if you off on vacation or a convention somewhere, you don't want to get a one. You don't want to have one bank account where you overseas on a vacation or you're at a convention or whatever, and you get to spend it, and you don't know how much you have left over, and your bill hasn't been paid,
That's true.
right?
Right. Right.
So you
Right.
need a separate bill account for all that covers all of your bills. And then over on this account is your separate leisure account or your spending account. So when you go on vacation, you know exactly how much is in your spending account for you to spend. And in that way, you won't be dipping into your bill money.
Wow. There's some good stuff. There's some good stuff. Good talk. And that's what we wanted it to be, some good talk, because we want people to be able to lead in their finances. We won't want you to be robbing Peter to pay Paul, because
Right.
then who you gonna rob to pay Peter?
Exactly.
Because you got to pay Peter back. And you don't
And
stole.
Peter's going to be looking for you. Right.
Yeah, so Peter gonna cut that down. You don't give him his money. Peter coming at you, right? And so they say if you borrow that's the person you're a slave to. So we want to get to the point that we can learn to have some money. We don't have to spend every dime we get. We don't have to spend every penny. Go ahead and talk about the emergency fund, because I
Yeah,
know.
so the emergency fund is, again, that's unexpected expenses. And so for the emergency fund, because during COVID, I know a lot of people got either laid off or they were put on a pause, and they went without income for at least 1 to 2 years, right?
Right.
So that's where the emergency fund will come in at, to help you through that downtime, right? So you won't hit rock bottom financially, right? So in the emergency fund, you should at least have 3 to 6 months of your income. So general ballpark amount is 3 to 6 months in case anything happened, you lost your job, or if something breaks down or what have you, you will have the money there and replace it as soon as you can. But one thing I want to say, I want to put this into perspective, and teach realistically, practically, right? Because you hear a lot of gurus say, 3 to 6 months. That's very hard to do if you're on a budget, a tight budget, right? So
Right.
I want to give you a little encouragement. It is okay, right, to allocate a portion towards that every month.
Mhm.
So don't hurry up and act like you have to, and don't put off everything. Like
I
you
love
said,
it.
rob Peter to pay Paul to build up the emergency account. You know, take a measured approach, right?
I
And
like it.
just put back every month until you get to that 3 to 6 months. So just being realistic, right? So you won't get discouraged because it does take some work. So you're gonna have to be diligent and consistent.
Yeah. And that's good to me because we want people as they leave here to understand that this is reachable.
Mhm.
This is I really can do this. I can do this. And so it's reachable. Start with $10, start with $15. Start with the main point that we want to give you here is to start.
Mhm.
Start. Okay, go ahead. Cause we're coming on down. Go ahead.
And so another tip is what I did is that I started my savings, and again, it's a certain amount every paycheck is what I do. It automatically goes to another account. Actually, it automatically goes to a mutual fund, right? And I work with my financial advisor on that. And when I got to a certain point to where I was comfortable, to where I don't miss it anymore, I didn't have any savings, right? So I was starting my journey again because I went through a situation during COVID, so I had to
Mhm.
start over again, right? So once I got my savings to a certain point, what I did was split off a certain amount and created my emergency fund.
Oh, okay.
So I have my emergency fund with a couple thousands in there, right? And
Okay.
now, but I'm still putting every check into my savings. So I
Okay.
have my emergency and my savings. So, if you feel overwhelmed, you may want to start with one savings and then split it off. Once you get satisfied, split it off to where you do have an emergency account and then
Okay.
continue with your savings.
I just saw that Deacon Smith come on. That's one of my sons. Just saw him come on. He's a Dave Ramsey guru, but awesome man in the finances. But I like that principle to me. I love that principle. So you got to your savings, and after you got your savings to a certain point, then you split it into your emergency fund.
Mhm. And you
Okay,
continue with your
but
savings.
you continue with your savings.
Mhm.
And I love this because it's practical. It's reachable.
Right.
It's reachable. And so we're not here, and that's what I wanted you to do. And you're doing exactly what I wanted. And I like to make things as simple as possible so everybody could understand. And when I was told one day there's these group of teenagers that listen to me every Tuesday who want to learn these different things that I'm doing, I want to keep it so they can understand it. Because to me, when I was they were 14, 15, 17. When I was 14, 15, 17, and God knows I had the world's greatest parents for me. I just didn't
Mhm.
know some of this financial stuff. So now it's our obligation is to go ahead and teach it to everybody we know.
Mhm. And to make it practical, like you said, because one of the struggles I used to listen to Dave Ramsey myself and Susie Orman. I used to
Yeah.
Fred Price.
Oh, yes. Yes.
But it's something to be said about giving your personal testimony and
Yes.
to make it plain and practical because people need to realize this is achievable, but not only realize that it's achievable, but show them how. Listen,
Yes.
this is what I did, so
Yes.
I know you can do it too, and
Yes.
these are the steps that you take, right? And so another word of caution or wisdom that I want to give to you about emergency funds, right? When you get that established for the emergency fund, right, and you continue with your savings, don't be so quick to tap into that emergency account,
Okay.
right? Because this is what I found out. This is what I found out is that 9 times out of 10, you would have found a way to work out that emergency, so-called emergency situation out, right? Either with whether you get the help from some family or friends, or you were able to work out something, work overtime, and get some money. In our cases, we may be invited somewhere and they give us a love offering. You know what I'm saying? It may be some how in some way where God works it out, right? And you're able to get the money for that so-called emergency. And then you realize that if I just pray on it and wait a little bit, I may not have to tap into that emergency fund. Because once you do that, if you form a habit of
Right.
tapping into it, you may not have no emergency fund left.
So you tapping, keep tapping. No, what Sister Marsha just said here that she shares with family and friends, it will be good to use your tax refund to start
Mhm.
your emergency fund. That might just be a good idea instead of
Mhm.
going to get some Nikes or another 95-inch TV or card or whatever. Just start it. Start
Mhm.
it. And then to me, as you're saying, then we got to discipline ourselves not to keep tapping into it.
That's the key is discipline. That's the key to the whole portion of financial success, discipline.
Okay.
And so that's the emergency fund, right? Again, we're talking about covering your financial goals, but it's a few things that we need to make sure are covered before we go into our financial pipe dreams, right? We need to make sure we're financially sound, right? So another thing you need to consider is having a retirement account.
Wow.
And
Wow.
most people have a retirement account these days through their jobs, right? But you'll be surprised of how many people borrow against that retirement account, how many people utilize or withdraw, take an early withdrawal and just pay the penalty and
Yeah.
use it like an emergency fund, which it's not an emergency fund. It's your
Mhm.
retirement. So you need to make sure you have money when you retire, right? So that's one of the things that should be on your list before you get to your financial list, your financial pipe dreams.
So listen, Tamia, this is real good. This is like super good. So what I'm gonna do is we might have to do a Facebook Live and bring you on because I love this. But I'm kind of running out of time. And so, but I
Oh, okay.
absolutely, no, I love this because you're helping, you're giving some realistic points of how to implement uh, these steps that you're giving to into our holistic leadership as leaders in our finances. And so I want you to take a minute and close us out as far as talking about the finances. Just take something. I know something that Danette did that her father have her living way beneath her means, way beneath what she makes. She lived way below, but then if anything happened in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, she's able to live not
Mm-hmm.
3 to 6 months, but the next several years. And
Yeah.
so I believe that as we live there. So just give us some closing pointers, Sister Marcia, all of you, all Lavisha, everybody, Carolyn, Tanya, everybody who have tuned in this day that I can see on my Facebook. I want to say thank you, Pastor Jenkins, everybody. Tamia, right quickly.
Yes, yes. So Dr. Judy, we got to do this some other time because that was just a tip, honey.
That was a tip. I'm ready to bring it back.
So, real quick, it's 5 steps to bending your financial plan, right? Make a list of your goals, your financial goals. Rank your goals. You need to prioritize your goals, right? And go over some things that you need to tackle first. You need to become financially sound first, right? Number
Right.
three, review and adjust your budget. You need to go back and revamp. You may have gotten a raise, something else may have happened, and then your money, you may have paid off some debt. So you need to go back and revisit every year your budget and just revamp it, right?
Right.
And number four is real critical. Work with a professional.
Yes.
Work with a financial advisor. I have a financial advisor that I work with, right? And yes, this is something that you need to know. You collaboration with a professional will do so much more than you even can do on your own. You will
Yes.
realize that you're able to get that big ticket item that you thought wasn't possible. But financial advisors have certain strategies, certain tools that they can work plans for you, right? They can show you investment tools, how to diversify your investments, how to put back savings, how to get the most out of your interest on the particular product that you're getting, a banking product, right? So a financial advisor is a very key collaborator, right? And number 5, I want to stress it, I cannot stress this enough, implementation. I know so many leaders.
Yes.
And a lot of them in the church world, I hate to say it, but it's a lot of leaders that know a lot about finances, but don't implement it at all. Wow. I mean, they go across the country evangelizing and still broke.
Right. And that's a whole nother show. Don't evangelize and then be broke. But anyway, I want to thank you so very much, y'all. This has been Sister Tamia Brinson from Orlando, Mindset. This has been good. Thank you. Thank you so very much for joining in. Thank y'all for giving your input. I want to end this show with this. George Burns said this: don't stay in bed unless you can make money in bed.
Come on.
He said, don't stay in bed unless you can make money in bed. Ain't that something? So if you're not making money in bed, if your money not making money for you while you playing, let's get this stuff. Let's get this stuff.
Collecting interest on somebody, somewhere, some way.
Yeah. So y'all, thank y'all so very much for tuning in to the Real Talk with Judy live radio show. I have enjoyed this. I know you have been blessed. To everybody who made comments, again, Sister Tamia, thank you so very much. I want y'all to join me tonight at 7:30 for our Bible study by Elder Maurice. And I want to say, Elder Allen, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. And join us Sunday morning at 11 a.m. But I want to invite you on to Thursday night. And I'm getting off of here. But Thursday night is our AIM Awards night. And that's where Dr. D, Ms. Sanders, and Reverend Holmes, they honor so many people in our city who are doing some good work in media. I don't know how many tickets are left, but I do say this: just call and ask Doc. Just call and ask him, do you have any tickets left? If you do, get them. 850-671-1450. We would love to see you Thursday night. Okay, and that's Real Talk. Remember, if you ain't making money in bed, get out of bed and go get some money. God bless you. That's Real Talk.
Real Talk with Judy. Real Talk with Judy on the radio. Real Talk with Judy.